Hello, this is a video for VHS Latin students who might be tempted to try to use online translators like Google Translate, and this is our urgent advice not to do so. I'll give you 4 reasons why you shouldn't. First one is you don't learn. This is the most obvious from a teacher's point of view, and hopefully from a student's point of view. The most obvious reason is that you don't learn by using online translators. So this is an appeal to your better nature. Hopefully you enrolled in this class in order to learn, and translators take away the learning, basically. Reason number 2, they do not work, especially for Latin. They don't work for other languages, but Latin is a very highly inflected language, and I won't go into detail on what that means exactly, but it's a tough language for a translator, for an online translator to crack. And those translators can do a great job with taking one word and giving a translation into another language of that word. But when you string those words together into sentences and passages, the complexity level of the inflections of the language really just get too difficult for a translator to comprehend. So they don't work that well at all. Number 3, it's cheating. It's plagiarism. It's a violation of VHS policy, which in many or most cases, as I say, will result in a 0 for the assignment. And that, in combination with reason number 4, which is that you will very likely be caught if you use these things, hopefully that acts as a deterrent to using them. Having dealt with student use of translators for now, we teachers of languages have gotten very good at spotting their use almost immediately. But students sometimes decide to forge ahead and use them anyway, but they always fail to produce anything but negative results, both in the quality of translation and in the resulting grades. So let's take a look at the proof here. We'll take a medium level difficulty passage in one of our Latin 2 that one of our Latin 2 teachers, Miss Ogier, has created. We'll have on the left you see her passage that she wrote in Latin, and then on the right we have her translation of that passage into English. You can pause this video at any time, obviously. I will read the right, actually, just because we're going to be comparing it to some pretty amusing translations of online translators. So let's take a look at the real human translation. The city of Troy had been fiercely attacked by the Greeks for 10 years. In fact, Homer, the greatest of the Greek poets, wrote a very well-known work, the Iliad, about this war. When Troy finally was captured through treachery, the Greeks, exhausted, hurried to return home. After everything had been prepared for their departure, they waited for suitable weather and finally launched the ships. So, how do online translators handle Latin to English first? And we'll take a look at Google Translate and something called ePrevodelac. And this will be the Latin passage copied and pasted into the translators to spit out English. So first one is Google Translate, of course, probably the best known translator out there. Let's see what Google did with this passage. So again, on the left, we have the real good human translation. On the right, we have Google's attempt at it. And I'd say that if Google can't do it, then who can, right? The city of Troy by the Greeks, 10 years of mostly ocean. There is a war of Homer, the biggest Greek. Much work is known by all. Troia last insidious by capturing the Greeks, tired to return home front. Having provided everything for the expedition, ready to be naves colonies, and he waited for the suitable weather. So this is obviously gibberish. Case study number 2, ePrevodelac. I don't know if this is an Eastern European site or something, but I think it uses Google Translate somehow, because there are some similarities here if you look here again. The city of Troy by the Greeks claimed for almost 10 years. There is a war of Homer, the biggest Greek. Much work is known by all. Troia last insidious by capturing the Greeks, tired to return home front. So far, that sounds just like the Google Translate. And then we have, we looked for a suitable... We? Where did the we come from, huh? We looked for a suitable thing for the expedition, and finally, to all naves, ready to be of the storm, and brought them too. Okay, so now how do translators handle English into Latin? One thing you'll be asked to do is to take sometimes an English sentence or a passage and translate it into Latin. So let's see how a site called Yandex handles this challenge. There's Yandex right there. Similar setup to Google Translate, a left and a right box, and you copy and paste and it spits it out. So now for this one, I took the passage on the left and had Yandex spit out Latin, and all of the red marks basically are where there are obvious errors in the translation into Latin. I won't go over the details because I'll get to that in the next slide. Some of the things that we notice as teachers that have been put through online translators. So yeah, here are the clues that teachers can spot immediately. Number one is the vocab or the usage is more advanced or not found in the books that students use. We have in Latin 1, we have a book called Ecce Romani, which uses, they give English words for the Latin words that you'll see. And when students use words that are different, say the word domus is Latin, a Latin word. It means home or house. So if I see domicile in a translation, I'm going to suspect right away that the student's gone outside of the realm of the textbook that we're using to look for help. Another indicator is that the grammar's way off or just the usage is way off. Homer, the biggest Greek, instead of Homer, greatest of Greek poets. So the translators can handle something like greatest or biggest, but it has trouble with the words that come after, like of the Greek poets. It can't quite figure it out, so it tries its best, but it just comes out like gibberish. Another point is that Latin words are kept in when a translator can't figure out what to do with it, and this produces a passage of both English and Latin, which is another sort of clear indicator there. And there's a variety of things. Mostly what you have is basically the feel of an online translator that a teacher gets a sense for over the years. So for all of these reasons, we do strongly urge you not to bother. And we're telling you this not defensively because we worry that you might use them and sneak it by us and we'll look like we'll look stupid or incompetent. We're telling you for your own benefit, honest to God. We're telling you so you don't waste your time. It doesn't take much time to copy a passage into an online translator, but it's still a waste of time. It's not going to benefit you, and it's a waste of time. And we're telling you so that your grades don't suffer because, again, it's cheating. It's a violation of policy, and it's very easy to figure out when people are using them. And finally, the most pure reason, we're telling you so that you do make the honest effort to learn. That is the best policy. It's better to try and, on occasion fail at something than it is to try to cheat your way through a course. That's I think, the opinion of every good teacher out there. So please don't use them. But if you do, expect the results that I've sort of told you might happen here, okay? Good luck with your course and take care.